if you really wanted to make sure, it could be a deed, it could be on the deed.
Have we had that situation in the
Yes,
past?
we have.
Oh, I haven't.
Have, with
Where
who?
do you have that?
It doesn't matter with who,
Irrelevant.
it doesn't matter.
Stick to the.
Joe, just say.
The storm drains on Harrison Avenue.
Okay, all right, so let's move on. Page 12. Will the building inspector be trained as well for these inspections? Because you appoint a stormwater manager, but we may not, Rich Parish could move, could leave, could whatever, and then what happens?
Well,
No, but what happens in the future? If we don't have a stormwater manager, do we have to hire one, and will we put it in our budget to hire one?
I guess
And what cost would that
when
be?
we don't have a stormwater
Cross
manager.
that bridge when we get to it.
Right.
It's really not relevant to what we're doing here.
Okay, but my next question
I think
is,
that's very relevant. What if he drops dead in the day?
You're not that lucky.
Yeah.
but will somebody else,
relevant.
will
It's not
some,
relevant.
okay, what's relevant is, will somebody else be
Eventually someone
trained,
else will
like the
take
building
over.
inspector,
Well, you might have to,
do have a
well, you might
dual-
have to pay the engineer to do it. Nelson Pope Boys would have plenty of people that are qualified to be a stormwater management officer. Just,
I'm just
we're lucky
asking.
that we don't pay for it now. So the answer is, you have it as you need it. And you have to
I'm
pay out.
asking, but will the
Just
building
answer.
inspector be trained to do that as well?
Yeah. He gets minimum training when he went to the.
Okay, so you answered my question, the answer is no. And number 13,
The reason why that's required is if somebody has to file a SWIP, what's called a SWIP, and there's only one or two properties in the village that would require a SWIP. So we wouldn't have to do that until something happened with one of those properties.
Okay.
okay, and number 13, page 13, number 131-11. Are we planning to have commercial or industrial facilities? Because it addresses that here in our code.
It's required to be in there. All those things are required by the state of New York.
Okay, thanks.
Anything
And,
else?
oh, I have one more. Page 14. 131-13, number 4. I see that we have imprisonment as one of the, it's $350 or imprisonment for a period of not to exceed 6 months. And every charge of stormwater management violations can be a misdemeanor. How are we planning on enforcing that? Would we be paying to go to Supreme Court for a $350 fee?
Again, another thing we'd have to cross when it happens.
Ask your lawyer.
This is one
I
that
did.
came from the
He
state.
told me to ask.
It's in there because we need to have it.
Oh, and I do have one more, I lied.
This is language that came from the state.
Right.
This wasn't drafted.
What are 15, number 14, again, we're back to the fees, and what are considered reasonable? I just don't.
It's a case-by-case
I just
thing.
want to make a statement. I don't understand how we can pass laws that we don't have the fee schedule in front of us. That's my biggest concern. And I have no issue with some of the laws. Please, believe me.
But 15,
But I need
section
to be-
14 has nothing to do with fees, it has to do with the cost of excellent consultants.
Any other comments?
Thank you for all your help.
Okay, do you have a motion to close code chapter 131 stormwater?
Second.
And the final local law for 2018 is amending the village code of 183.
Yay, get out those stairs.
I put a lot of work into this, I appreciate the build-up.
Is to remove building and construction regulations and stormwater regulations from chapter 183, create a new chapter, which is 46 building and construction, and a new chapter 131 stormwater control. So I'm imagining this is exactly the same, just pulling out those two. Is that right, Jeff, or did you change some of the definitions?
This should be the new 183.
This is
The new 183.
Okay,
you're looking at.
yeah, amending 183,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Structurally, it's what's left after we removed anything else. On virtually every other page or so, there's a change to the wording.
Okay.
I changed some grammatical things. We had talked about definitions. So there was some, obviously, the issue of changing a shed to 144 square feet. That's reflected in here. Some things I omitted, I brought that up in previous meetings, such as gospel tents or some things like farms, commercial farms, I think, that just were not relevant to today's Poquott. So there's really nothing that would be a whole new thing, but if anybody wanted to go line by line with what is existing in our village codes online, and something jumped out at you, let us know. But we've gone back and forth on these definitions and a lot of other things, and I don't think that there's anything that anybody will find in here that is radically different from what you've had. I just think it reads easier, it makes more sense, and basically that's what's behind all of this, is to have things that are accessible online and easily found and hopefully very clear. Always, if anybody has some disagreements or questions, that's when you actually speak to somebody who can answer your question. But I think this reads easily. Oh, there was one other thing that I think I may have mentioned this in one of the meetings. For swimming pools, we require, and we have done this for some time, that swimming pools have their own drain. And then there was some issue of where that drain is located and the like. And what we said is that would be up to the village engineer. So, or building inspector, I forgot how to phrase it. So, again, with the exception of that, I don't think there's anything that's changed. But if anybody finds something, feel free to put it
Any comments for that?
We're on the zoning thing right now, right?
up. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm back to that first question. It doesn't have a page number on the page, so I can't refer you, but it's in the definitions, under parking area off-street. And my question is, do residents need to apply for a variance to park on a separate lot? And is anything grandfathered, and what are we talking about when we talk about recordable documents?
How many pages are you in? Can you just
I-
tell me how many pages on the page?
It's in definitions.
1, 2,
Right.
third page, no, fourth page.
Yeah, fourth page.
Parking area off-street.
Parking area off-street.
I know what she's talking about it when she says parking on a different lot. I mean, what she's-
It says, the area of a lot or building used for the purpose of accessory parking or vehicles, such area shall be on part of the same lot on which the principal use is located. However, when approved by the Board of Appeals as hereinafter provided, such areas may be maintained on a separate lot to be convenient thereto, provided, however, that such separate lot shall be permanently and exclusively committed to such use, and for such purpose, the Board of Appeals, so that means it requires a variance, correct? May require such recordable instrument, which as to execution and form shall be satisfactory and may be deemed necessary to ensure the continued and uninterrupted use of such parking area for such purpose, provided no potential danger existed.
So if you have a separate lot with no principal residence on it, in order to use it for parking or any other accessory use, you need to have a variance.
Right.
So that means it's separate, like, let's say somebody who has two separate parcels, two separate deeds, but technically one parcel.
That would
What,
be allowed
how does that
to do
apply?
planning.
They need a variance?
I'm sorry,
They wouldn't be allowed to do that anyway.
you'd have to.
No, sure you can.
If it was two separate properties, you'd have to have,
Two separate parcels,
you'd
yeah.
have to have a variance in order to use one of them for parking.
If they're contiguous, and
Yeah.
you just have to make a lot, which a lot of
Yes.
people have, and you wanted to just, we're not talking about, are you talking about making a parking lot there, like pavement?
No, 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 I'm talking about what it says here.
Well, we've never done that. I think,
Yeah, but never done it and law are two different things.
I have to check it, I have to check our code before I answer that question, because there could be other provisions in the zoning code that affect that answer, so I would like to read the code again before I give the answer.
Okay.
I would just weigh in on this, obviously I would defer to you in the legal aspects, but we have had discussions about a lot of laws, and the most dramatic one that comes to mind is the maintenance of property law,
Mhm.
where people were going, this is terrible, and what, and all we said was, look, we need to have some of these things on the books because of an extreme example. And what I can imagine By the way, this is taken verbatim from the existing code, so.
I understand that, but I want
can
clarity.
I can imagine a scenario where somebody decides that they're gonna have 16 cars parked on their lot because they can get $10 a car for.
Well, that's conducting business, that's different.
Right, we can get them on that, but we could also say that if somebody has a couple of cars, they're theirs, and they're being stored, and they're not registered, but they're out of sight, and they're in a, whatever it is, yeah, we might wanna weigh in on that. And we could, the law allows us to do that. Does that mean that if anybody who has a double lot decides to pull some of their cars onto the lot when they have company or something like that, is anybody gonna be hassled about that? I can't imagine that being the case.
I have to correct you on that, because I came across a couple of years ago, a code enforcement officer that put a warning on a car in somebody's private driveway. So I need to correct you on that, because it did happen.
Well, we don't
I
know
can't
whether it
speak to
happened or
that.
not.
There's always more things.
So that's why I'm
I don't
asking
know
for
about.
clarity. I want clarity,
It's pretty
because
clear.
it's not pretty clear. It's saying to me that if I have a lot, 2 deeds on, next to my house, that you can come after me under this code and saying you need to not park there.
Do you have 2 lots next to
Yes, I
yours?
do. So now you can come after me
Okay, well, thank you for that.
and tell me I need a variance. Yeah.
My neighbors park on there, my next door neighbors have a lot right next to theirs, they park there all the time. I park on it, and nobody gives anybody a hard time.
I understand that, but when it comes to just what the mayor just said, do I have that? I said, yes, I do. So you'll see me in whatever. I wouldn't doubt that. Because the law is used when they want to use the law. The law is the law, period. There should be no question about what the law is. You can't pick and choose who you're going to use the law against, which happens all the time in this village, because there are many people sitting in this room right now that have basement apartments, 2 apartments in a house.
This has
Thank you
nothing to
very
do
much.
with the law. You're
Yes,
just
it
going like
does.
your own
It's
little
my
rampage
point.
of what you believe
It's
is not
my
true.
point.
So,
Your
yeah, your
point has
point
been
is,
heard.
She's just trying to say that.
We know what she's trying to say.
I understand, but
Okay.
it's just leave it open to
To
use what
your
you want to
discretion, which is not acceptable to me.
use. So either you can or you can't. That's just where things go.
There's no discretion in the law. There shouldn't be any discretion in the law.
We'll wait for Jim to explain.
Yeah. Any other comments for chapter 183?
Why would you even ask me that question?
Do I have a motion to close the local law of 2018, amending Village Code Chapter 183 zoning? Second?
Second.
Okay. Well, Village Hall was closed yesterday. Was there planning last time?
No,
Okay.
planning board is tomorrow night. They moved from Monday to Wednesday.
All diggies should be removed from the racks by December 31st. I'll send out a reminder, Thanksgiving weekend, so everyone, especially the ones down in California more. So, Bob, do you have a report for public safety? Okay. Ron?
One may see that it's not disturbing. We have, well, probably before the next board meeting, received the financial statements finally. There was a holdup because of not getting numbers from the Justice Court. We'll probably comment on the contents of that at the next meeting, as opposed to talking about it now. At least then everybody will have a chance to look at it. As of now, the numbers through October for this year, because we have not done anything with regard to the dock yet, there has been no appropriation of fund balance. We haven't had to fund anything with regard to the dock and the interest related thereto. So right at this point in time, the bottom line is that the budget numbers, as I projected this time of year, our income is about $6,000 ahead of budget, and that the only numbers, as I've mentioned in the earlier meetings, that are running up or down for the projection for the year are the work for the handyman, the work on grounds are all over budget now, mainly because my numbers did not front load as we've had the work, heavier work done this time of year. And it'll all, should level off during the winter. And we continue to have the public safety salaries below a straight line budget for the year. Other than that, what has kept us below budget right now is we haven't paid the auditors and we haven't done the work at Trustee Park. Other than that, everything is right, pretty much net on budget.
Any questions? Okay, public comments?
Go ahead, Susan.
This is just general stuff?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a question, a question. The other day, the street sweeper was doing the street sweeping. So are they gonna come back again? Because it seemed very early in the season, because, you know, only maybe half the leaves are down, and when the leaves, it would seem like they should be coming later when all the leaves are down and all of that composted stuff gets messy and stuff.
I think they were really picking up the sand and the salt from last year before the snow season started. It's not, a street sweeper is not to pick up the leaves. The leaves have to be maintained by the residents.
No, I understand, well, yeah, but, no, I understand, no, what I'm talking about is that the leaves fall in the street.
Right.
And then there's an accumulation on various, on several feet on either side of stuff that gets gooky and are they supposed to be doing that? Because if they are, it seems like very early in the season to have done that,
They really-
unless they're gonna come again.
Yeah, they're not gonna probably come back till the spring. They really came in to get rid of the sand and salt from last season. We had complaints about how much sand and salt went down, that the contractor was spreading it and people weren't happy with their lawns and bushes and stuff.
So they generally don't come for.
They usually come in the spring. They come in May after the pothole opens. That's when they usually come once a
Okay,
year.
but they don't come at this time of year to
No,
deal with
they
them?
just came this time to get rid of the sand and salt.
Okay. And then this is just an observation, which is what happened to the yellow line that goes down Washington? Because I see time after time, people don't seem to understand, and a lot of people with huge vehicles, that they're driving like right down the middle of the street, and I think it's dangerous.
It's true.
We looked at it, it was around $2,900 to put the stripe in, and we made the decision not to do that.
Okay, well, my comment would be that I think that's money, it would be money well spent, because I think we could probably all attest to the fact that we've seen people driving, they don't seem to know where the middle of the road is, and it's a danger.
They do, they're on.
Then the other comment is, I didn't realize that there wasn't, I came at 7 o'clock last Thursday, and there was no sign to say that the meeting had been closed. And I often park over there by the tennis courts, because it's just, if you want to leave early, or if there's a lot of people here, it gets tight to park. So my request would be that the board think about doing pathway lights, because with this, I tried to walk up what I thought was the pathway and ended up on the leaves, and there's some flickering big tall lantern that went on for about 1 second.
We had the same thing happen.
Anyway, I think it's a danger, and I think the board should consider even the bubble lights, which should be inexpensive, to light that pathway.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
I have a question about, I saw that there was a draft.
Name,
Felicia
address.
Chillack, Washington Street. I saw we are paying Campola, Middleton, McCormick to draft an audit response. When will the audit information be available? Which audit was it?
Are you talking about
It's
Cullen
in
and
the bills to
Danowski?
be paid.
You talking about Cullen and Danowski?
No, it says McCormick. Scott Middleton, McCormick, whatever. Campola, Middleton, and McCormick.
I don't know what audit.
We're
That's-
right here.
Yeah.
Not the-
The audit would be for Cullen and Danowski.
It says that you paid Middleton or whatever, Campolo, to draft an audit response. So
How much
that
is it
means
for?
the
How much is it
Campola
for?
was answering something.
How much is it for?
It was minimal, but I just want the
So
answer
it's
to the question.
the professionals that do work for the village get requests from the accounting, from the auditing firm that have to be responded.
Oh, that's right.
Okay,
Those
that was my
belong to us.
question.
I forgot.
All right, but why are we paying outside counsel when we have a village attorney?
This is because they have been on cases and it was required that they answer that.
Campolo?
Yeah.
Okay, so my second question, well, it's not really a question, it's a statement. I want to correct your statement, previous statement earlier today, Mayor Parrish, about David. David does do good work, I like him very much. But he was not part of moving those railroad ties from the property at Walnut Avenue. Those railroad ties took 4 men to move them. David couldn't possibly have moved them alone. And those same 4 men moved that picnic table back, which was halfway up the block. So I know the homeowner was immediately proactive in correcting the situation, and I was aware she contacted the village clerk directly to let him know she was handling it. So I just, again, want to correct that David did not do that, although I happen to believe that David does good work for the village. Then my last statement was, Larry Swanson has extended an invitation to the Civics Board to come and speak and address any of the residents' concern regarding this major issue. And the Civics Board member, Diana Padilla, has a direct relationship with Larry Swanson. Dr. Padilla offered her assistance and you denied her getting involved. But I am
That's
quite
not what I did
confident.
at all. What I did is
I-
I responded to her, which I don't know how you would know whether I responded to her or not, since
'Cause
you
we
weren't on
discussed
the
it.
email
Well, we-
that said that we were looking into the issue and that if we needed her help, we would reach out.
Correct, but
Okay.
she's offering her help. And I want you to
And
be
we
aware that
thank her
she's
for that.
offering her help, and as is the Civics, we can host Larry Swanson to address the concerns of the
You
residents.
can do whatever you want.
Okay, I'm just saying, we would like to participate. It's our community, we'd like to participate.
Any other comments?
John
Yeah,
on
I
Chestnut
don't.
Avenue. My question is, we're about to pay a bill to, what is it, Campola, for $60 to review a grand jury subpoena. Did the village get a grand jury subpoena?
Joe?
It's my recommendation that the board not discuss that. It's an open legal matter.
Well, wait a second now. We're the taxpayers of this village. If somebody on the board did something wrong, we have a right to know something about it.
It has nothing to do with it.
I have there's no suggestion that anybody on the board did anything.
Well, then, when will we find out? Let me ask you that question.
When the matter's closed.
So we're not gonna get information about
Now,
it?
Grand juries are traditionally secret.
Yeah, I know, but the grand juries generally indict, by the way. Right, Jeff?
They investigate,
Investigate and indict.
so.
For criminal.
they may-
For criminal
they may not,
behavior,
but
right?
I don't know anything about this, first of all, but second of all, I don't feel that it's appropriate for us to be talking about a grand jury, anything here.
But
Well,
it's
you're
here.
paying them bill. You're paying them $60 to review
Well, we
it.
should go back to
All we
item
need
number
to
one.
know is that it was for a grand
Should we
jury.
reach John's
We're gonna
thing?
pay that bill.
Maybe it's in there. I mean, is it part of your thing, John? Is it
No,
part
it
of-
isn't.
Seems to be the only thing that's under review there.
We know who it is.
Doesn't matter.
I haven't gotten spoken with the.
Well, aren't you,
I
aren't
didn't
you
ask
in
the
court?
question. I didn't ask the question.
Your
I
answer
was
is that we
sur-
can't answer it, correct?
My recommendation is that it not be discussed in
And we
public.
won't answer it. No.
But how can you do that, though? It's
No, we don't
it's a subpoena.
expect John's
We're paying
policy, no.
to have a grand jury subpoena. What, we can't discuss what it's about?
No.
I would, it's again my recommendation to the board not discuss it in public.
But then let me ask you, why is it open to discuss John Richardson or any other persons?
Because in John Richardson's
John's-
case, he's asking
Because he's not
for,
protected by the government.
I don't even understand that comment, but
You don't
in his
think so?
case, in order for him to make a deal that he's asking for,
No, I don't want to
Less
discuss his
money.
case.
We're not-
Please,
it
we're
has
not
to be
discussing
about
his
it.
case.
well, you can't ask the
Alicia, you
question.
discuss his case all the time.
I
You
do.
discuss his case
Facebook.
constantly.
Is there any other
Park.
comments that just have to do with the village? Roger?
So, Roger Flood, Van Brunt Manor Road.
Yes.
First, I'll endorse the suggestion that lines be painted down the village streets and stop lines. I think the lines do encourage saner driving and stopping when one's supposed to stop. And,
No, stop at stop signs. You want them to sit down there and worry about a yellow line?
Well, the white lines go at stop signs, the yellow ones are in the middle of the road.
Yeah, well, they don't stop at stop signs, so we think they're gonna stop at,
Harry, he has the floor.
Second is a request that who's ever in charge of the village calendar updated, so the planning board meeting is shown on whatever meeting, whatever night they now meet.
Well, they meet on Mondays, it was just because of the holiday.
I thought someone said they permanently changed to Wednesdays.
No, just for the holiday.
Just that one? Okay, well then, next one on my list is, there's a light out on Van Brunt Manor Road at the intersection with Windswept Lane. I think this is the fourth year I've reported this, and I appreciate the village's comment every time that I'll get right on it. I think it's on the record enough times so that if there's any accident or injury there that could be traced to the lack of a light, that the village has certainly been warned that there's a potential problem or something that they maintain. So you're aware of this, I think. Yeah, the poll has no number on it, otherwise I would report the
I'm
number.
sorry for
Phil,
interrupting, but just for your information, because we've had a number of these issues, including one by me. This one company that's supposed to do this stuff, they always have a reason not to show up, and they say, well, then you need 3 lights out. And we've talked about how there's got to be another company out there to use.
right, well in this case,
It's very frustrating for us.
the whole arm has to be replaced. The arm got lost when the pole fell
Yeah.
over.
We had exactly that same thing.
So,
It took them
but
like a year.
it does, I think, open the village to some
I
kind
live
of
in it.
complaint. That's a very busy street now. We're back to standard time, and it's dark when lots of people are walking, and people don't always light themselves up. Regarding trees, you discussed trees. There was an interest at one time in asking DEC for funds for tree maintenance, and so I submitted a draft of something that would meet the DEC's requirement for a tree board, which was part of their requirement for even making the application for some funds. And this was in June, I think, and it would be useful to figure out if the board has thought anything about that
No,
at
so
some
we can
point.
put it on, back on the agenda.
Because as I say, if you want to request funds from DEC, it needs a whole planning process, and the trees keep growing and falling down and are in need of actions. In terms of the dock, there's a mention of the bulkhead had some problems in the California Beach area. I'm not exactly sure what that was, but there's been continuing interest for a path that goes around the landward end of the dock. It may actually be in the village code that this has to happen. And if there's going to be some modifications to the seawall down at California Beach, request that something be put into the seawall so that it is possible to walk around the landward end of the dock. And that would, I think, go a long way towards integrating the dock into the public park rather than really interfering with the function of the park in terms of walking along the beach. I know there's a stairway, but some may prefer a land route rather than scrambling up and down steps and so on, and doors, perhaps. So just if there's work to be done down there, that should be considered, because it is somewhat a requirement of building the dock. I didn't bring the details, but given the way the property, we've heard that the average assessment for a property in the village is about $4,000. And fortunately, I'm right at $4,000. But we know that it goes up and down from there. I think it would be valuable for the village trustees to acknowledge the roughly quarter or so of the population that pays a half or more of the village tax based on property tax. And I'll have to look up the number. I figured it out at one time, and I don't remember it, but it's, I know there are many, this burden of this dock is going to get distributed, and this quarter or third of the population that's going to pay more than half the cost should be recognized, because they are paying the biggest percentage of that cost. And I think I have one more thing. Oh, in terms of the septic system, I'd like Richard's discussion. I think you should add septic systems, residential septic systems, to the list, because groundwater, which often is how septic systems does also get its way into the harbor system. I don't offhand know the relative ratios, but and many people some people treated at the hospital may well return to their own houses and urinate in their own toilets, which would be other sources of materials, including medicines and so on, and that the village should, as it considers wastewater input into local waters, also have septic systems and encourage whatever is being done by the county to encourage, perhaps one day require upgrades to residential septic systems, because that's really part of the problem. And as Rich, I was absolutely shocked to learn that the CEQA process can be abused so that you don't get input from those you should get input from. And of course it happens all the time, but we do it all the time, say, oh no, there's no CEQA issue here, but I think it's something that has to be monitored, because there are many times when things should be looked at more closely in an environmental context, but they aren't because of some potential abuse of the CEQA system. And maybe you're right, Rich, that requesting that learn about what happens at the time of review is one way to address that. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, start the resolutions. Resolution 11-2018-1, resolution adopting the November 8th, 2018 agenda. Well, that's going to be the 12th, right? The 12th, 2018 agenda is printed, so moved. Second, all in favor? Motion carries.
Resolution number 11-2018-3, resolution adopting the minutes from the September 17, 2018 work session of the Board of Trustees. Oh, am I not? Unless you're not. Oh, I'm
Two.
two.
Any reports?
Oh. Resolution number 11-2018-2, resolution accepting the monthly reports from November 12, 2018. So moved.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Resolution 11-2018-3, resolution adopting the minutes from the September 17, 2018 work session of the Board of Trustees. So moved. Second.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Resolution 11-2018-4, resolution adopting the minutes